Hello and welcome to FinextraTV's Predict 2023 series. I'm Madhvi Mavadir and I'm joined by Roberto Napolitano from Innovate Finance. Hi Roberto, how are you? Thank you for joining us today.
Hi Madhi, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. Today we've got a lot to get through, lots to talk about because 2023 is well on its way. I guess the first topic to talk about, thinking about last year, there was a drop in capital investment to the fintech industry last year. What are your thoughts on that? Will it be the same this year?
It's a great question. So we saw through our investment report that we released at the beginning of January that 2022 saw a drop in investment in fintechs by about 30% globally. So fintechs secured about $92 billion compared to $130 billion in previous year, so 2021. So that's quite significant decline in investment. However, we saw that the UK, only the investment in UK fintechs only dropped 8%. So it's a very good story for the UK. So UK fintechs secured about $12.5 billion in 2022, which is a fantastic number, majority of which was mainly invested in the first semester of 2022. So the first quarter of last year, 2022, was incredible. Massive investment into UK fintechs. We saw the decline from Q3 and then Q4. And that's probably because of macroeconomic conditions, inflation now, interest rates very high, the war in Ukraine. So it's a combination of factors that actually affected this decline in investment. So some investors are still waiting and seeing what's going on in Q1. So they're waiting to see whether this situation will change. But there is a small consensus that Q3 and Q4 this year will see back to normal situation, let's say, in terms of investing in UK fintechs.
Lovely. And by back to normal, you mean pre-COVID, so 2019?
Well, 2021, if you remember, was an amazing year in terms of investment. It was a record-breaking year. So we saw over $11 billion invested in fintechs in the UK. So it was just incredible. And this year we saw 12.5, so we're actually not far from that, but we need to see and wait Q3, Q4. I think it's possible that we go back to this kind of level of investment. The capital is available. It's just a matter of which fintechs, investors and VCs are interested in investing in the next few months.
Lovely. And are there any trends that you're seeing? Are you seeing a lack of investment going towards female founders or compared to male?
That's another great question. Thank you very much for asking that. That's not good news, I'm afraid. The investment in female-founded businesses last year was about 4% of the total amount of investment. So it's not very good news. So, and at Innovate Finance, we really want to kind of, say that this is not good and we need to do more. Like the ecosystem need to do more because there are so many amazing female founders in fintechs here in the UK, and they actually proved that their businesses are very successful. So we need to make sure that they get the capital that they need.
And would you say that, last year there were next to nothing IPOs? Will we see that happening this year as well?
That's another very important question. From what I can tell you is that we're really working with the ecosystem, the fintech ecosystem, to make sure that London specifically becomes and is still a listing destination for fintechs. Now there is big competition, let's say with the New York Stock Exchange, so American exchange. There is also a difference in mindset from an investor perspective. I believe that American investors are more, they have more appetite for risk and they're really focusing on growth. So that's why quite a few fintechs, decide to go and list their businesses in New York and in the US. Having said that, we need to really highlight the fact that the UK has got incredible professional services. So to list a business at the stock market, it's very complicated, it's a very complex process. But we do have one of the best law firms, one of the best banks, institution advisors for listing a company. So we're really working with the ecosystem and with London, especially LSE, to make sure that this is a destination that attracts fintechs to start, scale the businesses and then list the business in London.
Lovely. And I guess what would be your advice for fintech firms? What challenges do you expect them to come up against in 2023? And will there be any challenges related to regulation in particular?
Very good question, thank you. The UK is still one of the top destinations for entrepreneurs that want to start and grow their business, the fintech business. So it's a fantastic ecosystem. We have a very proactive regulator. We have a good government that's supporting fintechs. They understand the value of fintechs to the economy. There are a few challenges if I think about it. So a lot of CEOs and founders will probably tell you that one challenge is talent. It's how we keep attracting the right talent to the UK and keep the talent. Because we see that the competition for talent and the competition for capital, as we said before, is increasing. So there are other hubs, international hubs, that are getting more talent. So we need to make sure that London and the UK, keep attracting the talent. Mm-hmm. The other challenge that you mentioned is regulation. It's not really a challenge, but it's something that we need to work with always regulators and the government to make sure that regulation is smart for fintechs and really help fintechs to grow. So it doesn't need to be a barrier, it needs to be enhancing the growth of fintechs. Very happy to see the financial services and markets bill that has been implemented. We now need to see more implementation on the crypto regulation, for example, and on the BNPL, buy now, pay later regulation. But we're optimistic. We will see some progress, but this is something that we need to continue working with the government and regulators on it.
Thank you. So I asked you about the challenges, but what are some of the good things we can expect in 2023, particularly around something we haven't spoken about yet, which is ESG? That's
another great question. Thank you for asking that. So ESG is very important for Innovate Finance. We are, the membership association representing fintechs in the UK. And I want to mention a couple of things on ESG. So the first one is our upcoming conference, the summit, the IFGS Summit, 17 and 18 of April. We will have panel discussions really focused on ESGs and the impact of fintechs into society. And the other forum that I want to mention is the Fintech as Force for Good forum, which we're going to host in October in Canary Wharf this year. And it's a one-day conference where we talk to founders, regulators, and government about ESG and how fintechs are actually having a positive impact on the environment, on society, and on governance. So let me maybe give you some examples of what fintechs are doing, because I really want to share these examples with you and Finextra. The first one is on the environment. So fintechs are doing a lot in terms of green finance initiatives. I can mention Climate, Archain, some of our members at Innovate Finance, really making sure that how we invest our money and how we manage our money does not have a negative impact on the environment, right? And then most importantly, on society, if you consider the S of ESG, we're living through a cost of living crisis. Everybody is experiencing that, unfortunately. It's one of the worst crises that we've been living in the UK and Europe and globally. The good message is that fintechs are doing a lot to help consumers and businesses to manage their money better, to save their money. And I can give you a few examples. Our members, Mina Technology, for example, is helping consumers to manage their subscriptions so that people can save more money on their subscriptions. Atom Bank, Starling Bank, one of the most well-known challenger banks in the UK, they're really introducing new tools to help people manage their money, seeing how we can manage our finances better, more efficiently, more transparently as well, and having everything in one place so that we have an idea and clarity and visibility on what we are, how much we're spending on what and where we can save. I think this is incredibly useful for us as consumers and for businesses. For example, if you think about lending to small businesses, fintechs are really helping on that side as well. And I'm happy to say that we're going to publish a report in the next few days showcasing some of these interesting examples of fintechs helping consumers during the cost of living crisis. So watch the space, I would say.
So I think it's really great that you mentioned the S in ESG, because I think people just don't talk about that enough. The E and the G are very important, but the S is also really important. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. I will see you at IFGS in April.
Great. See you then.
Thank you.